Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man, at your services. How are you all? Hope you're doing very, very well. Now, got a wee whisky here, and some friends, and a big display. Yes, as you can see. What's the theme? What's the theme, do you think? And I'm playing the score to the film Funhouse. I've got all these kind of carnival-esque freaks and geeks and weirdos, and a big poster for the Funhouse, and the original VHS. Betamax copy of the Funhouse. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Funhouse from 1981. Tobe Hooper directed this. Tobe Hooper! Yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Eaten Alive. Poltergeist. Ooh, was it really him? Ooh. Spielberg was on set every single day. Spielberg was in the editing room. Spielberg was in the sound recording studio when Jerry Goldsmith recorded the music for Poltergeist. I don't know, jury's still out on that one. But also, Life Force and Toolbox Murders, the remake. And yeah, Tobe Hooper is awesome. Sadly now deceased. But after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he was kind of notorious. So the film Eaten Alive, with Neville Brand wielding a huge scythe and having his pet crocodile. You see, now it's set in the Louisiana swamps in a sleazy motel down in the bayous where he's killing off all of his guests all the time, like for various reasons. And but it's referred to as being a crocodile. But isn't that the land of gators? Why would he have a crocodile anyway? Well, whatever. It's got great big snappy jaws and kills a lot of people. Anyway, so then he gets from Stephen King the TV miniseries Salem's Lot. And my God, did he deliver the goods with that. I love Salem's Lot. I think it's great. Sometimes some of the scariest scenes in that are actually the families and their weird, horrible, twisted dichotomies. A shotgun in the face of a guy who's been having an adulterous affair with this other guy's wife. That's actually almost as scary as Barlow, Reggie Nolder, rising out of the floor with his cape and his fangs and his big blue head and those pointy ears. You know, that's just as scary. And this is the thing that the Tobe Hooper could always really, you could count on him for, is people's innate weirdness, their bizarre depravities and savagery. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Parts 1 and 2, of course, completely exemplify this. But then he gets this gig, the Funhouse. Now, the Funhouse, written by Larry Block, is a very much of its time. It's a stalker slash movie, pretty much basically. Came out in 1981, and you've got 4 teens, 2 double dating couples who are, they've gone to the local fun fair against the advice of the main leading protagonist girl, Amy, played brilliantly by, it's called Introducing Elizabeth Berridge as Amy. And she did go on to do various other things. She was Mozart's Missus in Amadeus with Tom Hulce. And she's in lots of other things. Can't remember now. But it's introducing her. Her mum and dad are giving her advice. You're going out with that guy Buzz tonight. Buzz from the local filling station. Buzz, the local sports jock. You know, don't you be going that fun fair, that carnival. Remember last time they were here? You know, over the valley in Fairfax, those 2 poor girls were found mutilated. So already you know, like, oh shit, yeah. But of course, oh no, we're not going there, Daddy. No, we're not. We're going to movies. They're going to carnival. To be fair to her, she doesn't want to go, but Buzz does talk her into it. Like, anyway, so you got these two couples, the teens, and they go round the fun fair and they go on all the rides. They go and meet Madame Zena, played brilliantly by Sylvia Miles, the great Sylvia Miles, a fortune teller. And they meet Marco the Magnificent, who is played by William Finley, the great Phantom of Paradise. He's playing this drunken. He's got a hip flask. He's forever going. Whilst doing his so-called gruesome tricks on stage and all that. Like, we'll come on to all this. But they go through all these things and then they end up at the Funhouse, the titular Funhouse. And the plan is Richie, played by Miles Chaplin, he's the geek, he's the nerd, but he's also the wisecracking knobhead as well, the irritating swine of the group who gets him into trouble. All his ideas go badly. And he's the one who says, like, let's we stay the night in there. Yeah, come on, yeah. Okay, what? If you don't do it, you chicken shit. So he's antagonising the jock, boss, played by the greatly named Cooper Huckabee, you know. And he said, I'm no chicken. Of course we're going to do it. So the girls phone up their mums and dads and say, oh, we're staying over in each other's houses. And they go on and get on the ride, and then they sneak off the gondolas and stay inside the Funhouse. That's the thing. That's the crux of it. That doesn't happen until about almost 40 minutes into the movie, by the way, because we spent all that time beforehand building up these characters and getting to know them, which is a really great trait that Tobe Hooper works into it. So you do care about these. You've got to know them by the time that the shit will hit the fan, which it most certainly does. So they go and stay inside the Funhouse, but while they're in there, after an abortive making out attempt, they hear noises beneath the floorboards. The whole thing's been shut down now, it's all nice and quiet. So they have a look at the floorboards and they can see down below. And down below you've got the Funhouse Barker had this attendant wearing a Frankenstein's monster mask, a universal Frankenstein's monster mask, because this is a universal movie, so they had the rights to that mask. So he's got this mask on, and like they've seen him a couple times before wandering around, and they've gone like he's a creepy looking dude. Well, yeah, he's a lot creepier than you're gonna fucking think he ever was. So he's in there with Madame Zena, Sylvia Miles, and he wants some kind of sexual gratification. He's willing to pay. He's going to pay. He's found his father's big cash box, so he unlocks that and he gets some dollar bills out. And she's going, no, that's not enough. You know, come on now. You know, more. No, that's not enough. You know, I need more than that. She has this mock European accent, which is great because when Amy goes in there beforehand to have her fortune told, and her mates are all sitting there and they're all tittering and laughing and guffawing because she's an old douchebag, really, an old hack. She puts the money down her cleavage and all that and does her hair up and, you know, puts her gown around it with a little cheap povy little crystal ball. Your hand, please. You know, all this mock European, Mittel European accent. And but these guys are taking the piss. So in the end, she just loses her rag and says, get out of here and don't come back. And if you do, I'll break every bone in your fucking body. And she's got a pure New York accent. Your fucking body. And actually, that sounded more European then. You know what I mean? But she's great. So they're kind of laughing. Oh God, it's the fortune teller. Oh, what are they gonna do? Oh no. And like, yeah, he finds $100 bill. You know, you drive a hard bargain, she says. Down the cleavage. Come here, lie down, don't be afraid. Lie down, it'll be alright. And she gives him a hand job. Does the washing by hand, as it were. And they're all up above going, look at that. He's got the mask on the whole time. And you do see her arm going like that. But he finishes way too quickly. And she goes, oh, don't worry, it happens to everybody, you know, it's all right. And you do see it. Tobe Hooper says to her, like, do a little favour, wipe your hand on the horrible sort of blanket that's there. Just wipe your hand to make it even more sleazy. So she does. But of course, this guy ain't too happy about that. So he's like, hang on. He doesn't say this, he just grunts and drools out of the mask, the mouth hole of the Frankenstein's monster mask, he just drools out of it. And no, I'm not happy with this, you know, come on, no, a deal is a deal, and you know, that's not my fault. Goes crazy. He throws it into like a junction box, fusing with sparks, go everywhere, and he throttles it and he kills it. So these kids have just watched a sexual depraved act and my God, a murder. So like, Jesus. And then like, the whole mood changes completely. It's brilliantly done. So what this guy in the mask does, he gets his dad. His dad is the Barker from the Funhouse, played by Kevin Conroy. We'll talk more about this. I'm just going to give the overall story here, and then we're going to go into all the finite details. Of course, you know I'm going to do that. And so, oh, by the way, spoilers ahead. Gets his dad, and like his dad comes in. Clearly, the rumours that we've heard about this carnival being in other areas and people meeting unsavoury ends are true, because you hear him like, oh, but what you did to those girls, those 2 girl guides, that was sick, and but at least it's other people. And he goes like, this is one of our own. It's Madame Zena. She's one of the family. And he starts going mad and hitting. It's like, because he's the father of this Frankenstein's monster wearing attendant who gets, when they go on the fun fair, the fun house, they go on the gondolas and he sets them off. Like, and he's the attendant, he's the aide, but he's clearly, there's something not right about this guy. Well, as we've just discovered. But there's more. Oh, there's more than that. So, but this is one of our own. What are you doing? I've got to cover up for you again. This is one. How am I going to hide this now? And you hear this guy in the mask goes, Paul. It's like, don't call me that. Don't call me that ever again. You know what happened to your little brother? We've already seen the freak show in another tent. And inside that freak show, as well as a 2-headed cow and other deformed animals, you've got a freakishly deformed baby pickled in a jar of formaldehyde and used as the butt of a few jokes when our crew go in there and witness it. But also, you're like, shit, that's your brother. Oh my God. Anyway, the mask comes off and we see what is beneath the Frankenstein's monster mask. And it is a Rick Baker designed mask. And blazing red eyes, a split down the face, sort of 2 noses, fangs, drool, also long straggly white hair. It's a grotesque appearance. And we also get to know that, although it's only hinted at, but it's quite clearly is the inference, is that his dad had certain relationships with a cow. We do actually hear some other carnies making a joke about, like, did you hear, when he said, like, he said to her after they'd had sex, you're the best I've ever had. What's your name again? Moo. So they know this. So this guy has sired via cattle 2 offspring, one of whom died at birth and is now languishing in a jar of formaldehyde, while the other one is now I don't know, 18, 20 years or whatever it is. He's slave to his hormones, but he's a kill crazy hormonal bastard. But the thing is, the kids upstairs, they're witnessing all this, and our resident dickhead Richie, Miles Chaplin, his lighter falls out of his shirt pocket through the floorboards, lands there, and like Kevin Conroy, the Barker's like, who's up there? Who's up there? Come on down now. Come on down. Come on down, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Like, they're gonna come down, and like, it's like, come on, I just want to give you your lighter back, He said, oh, okay, play it your way. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. But really, right, that's it. Lock this place down. Me and you are going on a hunt. We're going to get these bastards and we're going to kill them. And that is the crux of the story. That's how the film then pans out. And what you get from that point onwards is a massively twisted variety of what's the next shot going to be. Is it going to be one of the mechanical, an executioner with a big axe, or a big cackling witch, a giant spider with big, huge teeth coming down. You know, what's the next shot going to be? Or will it be the freak coming down from a trapdoor, coming up from the floorboards, smashing through a door? What's it going to be? And our little quartet are going to be whittled down one by one. But you've got two people after them. You've got the Barker, Kevin Conroy, and you've got the mutant son, played by Wayne Tobe. Wayne Tobe, folks, is absolutely extraordinary in this movie. Wayne Tobe was a mime artist, and he got the role because a lot of people, when they wear makeup, and as I said, Rick Baker designed the makeup for this, but special effects guy Craig Reardon, who worked on many, many other movies as well, a lot of Joe Dante movies, a lot more for Tobe Hooper. He did a lot of stuff. Like he's the one that actually applied the makeup each day. Rick Baker just designed the look of it, but this guy did all the actual appliance handling. So you've got this crazy creature going after them, and you've got kills, which the film is not. It's not that violent. It's not that gory. It's not very graphic at all, which kind of makes a mockery of what happened to it. The early 80s in the UK, video nasties. Doesn't matter where in the world you are right now watching this, you've heard of the video nasty craze, and I loved it because it put so many movies on the map which you may never have bothered looking at. Most of which weren't worth looking at. They were just shit. But it gave you an obsession. If you're a movie geek, a horror buff, you had to have all these films. You had to challenge yourself to watch them, collect them, get them all. I had them all. Most were crap. Most didn't even need to be on it. And this film was never actually banned. People make the mistake it was banned. It wasn't banned. It did get taken off shelves. They did try to prosecute it. The prosecution didn't stand. But the reason why the film is not that bad, and it's not because, it's Tobe Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was also never banned. It was locally not allowed in certain cities and certain areas, but the film was never banned in the UK. But Tobe Hooper's name became synonymous with gut-wrenching violence and gore, even though you don't see any Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And likewise this. But the problem that happened was that such was the furore around video nasties and the big public moral outcry that films were getting lifted off shelves. I was present in many video libraries when I saw movies getting taken off. I've done videos on this before, so I've talked about it before, so I won't go into it all right now. But the Funhouse, our Funhouse, was mistaken for two other movies. One was a film called Madhouse, which was nasty and was banned. And one was a film called The Last House on Dead End Street, which is a very nasty movie, a very grungy, gritty, snuff movie type movie. It did get, people did think that people were killed making that movie. It's not a good film, but it breaks the meta wall, it breaks that. So it's kind of clever and audacious in many ways, but it is a relentlessly grim and horrible, horrible film. But The Last House on Dead End Street was also known in some territories as the Funhouse. So you can see why this one, when Constable Napweed comes into the local video library and sees that on the shelves, that's coming off there. So the film did get removed, but it was never banned, and nor should it ever have been, because it's not that violent. You have got kills, you have got violence, but you don't see much of it. It's done in a very sort of tame and very non-gratuitous sort of fashion, but it's effective. Now, you're hearing John Beale's score for the Funhouse, by the way, which is great. It does evoke that carnival-esque atmosphere, the hurdy-gurdy, the barkers, and it's got like the kind of that, you heard it there, wow, that synth from the late 70s, early 80s is here, but with great orchestral stuff as well. Listen to that, it's wonderful stuff, very atmospheric. Now, into this mix, you've also got Amy's younger brother, Joey. Joey, played by Sean Carson, I think his name is. Now, this guy is a fucking pain in the ass. And the film starts off with a great pastiche homage to Psycho and Halloween. Because A, they know this is a stalker slash movie, And we want to pay respects to all this sort of the lineage, the heritage of horror that we're taking the bloody baton from. So in the opening, you have Elizabeth Berridge playing Amy, going into the shower, stripping off and having a shower. And it's a bit of a troubling sequence because she looks too young to be doing that sort of sequence. Whereas the rest of the teens all look older than they're meant to be. She looks younger, but she is a great actress though, so we'll come on to all that again. But she has a shower, she strips off, gets in the shower. In the meantime, we see somebody walking into another bedroom and seeing horror masks, not too far removed from these. Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the Wolfman is there, and there's all posters on the walls, and there's all horror paraphernalia. I mean, it's my kind of bedroom, you know? And whoever it is goes to a corner and there's all weaponry, medieval weaponry, axes, maces, swords, traps, spikes, all sorts, and selects a knife. You're seeing it from their point of view. Selects a knife and then puts a mask on. Very, very similar to Halloween. Little young Michael Myers gonna go and kill his sister Judith with a knife, and you're seeing through the eye holes of a clown mask. Anyway, so we see her back in the shower. The shower curtain gets pulled back. She screams. The camera zooms in, very, very like Psycho. And the knife comes in, water trickles down it. The knife is hitting the belly, and you're like, and it looks just like Psycho, only in colour. But then the knife actually does hit her, and the knife bends. And you're like, huh? It's a fake knife, of course. So she realises, takes the mask off. Joey! It's her younger brother, Sean Carson. A fucking douchebag, if ever there was one. And he's a little bastard, he's a little swine. And she chases him out of there. She puts dressing gown on, and she finds him hiding in his closet. She drags him out of there and she says, I'm going to get you for this. I'm going to get you for this. And you're never going to forget it for the rest of your life. You know, really, really goes for him. And it's like, it jolts him. Anyway, that's the same night that she's going to go out with Buzz and the other couple and to the movies, but they're really going to go to Funhouse. And he knows they're lying. So he escapes via the trellis, comes down the trellis and goes out to the fun fair to go and track. I don't know why he does it. I don't know what his prime modus operandi is. What does he expect to do from this? To catch him in the act and go like, oh yeah, you lied. You said you were going to cinema. I don't know what he's going to do. But Tobe Hooper paints a horribly nasty environment because as this kid is going down the road towards the carnival, he gets menaced by a big German Shepherd behind a chain link fence, which just suddenly starts. You know it's coming. You kind of know it's coming. He's walking down a dark street. You know, it's very quiet. He looks behind him. Looks ahead, he looks behind him again. But the camera's in front of him. You're just in front of him looking at him. You just know this chain link fence, something's going to come up. And it. Well, suddenly a driller killer leaps out at him. Christ, what did they drill into? The Mariana Trench. Holy shit. It's unreal, isn't it? It's unreal. I did start this video way before, and the phone began to ring endlessly. It's a Sunday afternoon, a day of rest. Fucking hell. Anyway, so this dog jumps at him, and you jump out your skin, but you kind of saw it coming. Then a little further down the sidewalk, he's just walking down on his own, and a car pulls up, and some seedy old redneck leans out. Hey kid, what are you doing here? What's up with you? Where are you going? And he's just like that, you know, and he's like, why didn't you get in? I'll give you a lift, get in. You're like, oh shit, no. And the kid's sort of like that. But while he's not looking, the guy's brought up a shotgun and puts it in his face like that, and then click, you know, it's empty, and the kid's like, ah, and runs off, And the guy's going, fucking hell, what kind of place is this? Jesus. And then the fun fair as well is packed with homeless people. There's one guy when he first get in there, he looks like he's covered in shit. And like he's going like, oh, excuse me to people, and they're like, oh God, look at him. But you've got this woman as well, this bag lady, who are two girls, Elizabeth Burridge, Amy, and I think it's Liz, the other girl, Lorna Woodruff. They go to the toilets, and this bag lady comes in, and she goes, God is watching you. God is watching you. Like that. And then she goes into like the toilet cubicle, and she's going like, he hears everything. God is watching you. And you're like, fucking hell. The whole carnival is filled with down and outs, rednecks, sleazy bastards, left, right, and centre. And Tobe Hooper is having an absolute free-for-all with all of these great characters, these colourful interjections of weirdness. It just paints a very vivid picture. Not a completely inaccurate one either. Because down and outs are drawn to these places. You do see a lot of the most bizarre detritus of society frequenting carnivals and circuses and fun fairs. They're always there. It seems to offer like a bit of sort of sanctuary to them. But these guys, there's a few of them, they do look like they're auditioning for Prince of Darkness for John Carpenter in a few years' time. So this girl is there, and you see this bag lady around a fair bit. So anyway, Joey does get to the fun fair, and he will encounter these down and outs as well. He'll also see his sister and mates go into the fun fair. Well, in you go. And of course, their plan is not to come back out again until dawn. So, and he's waiting, and all the gondolas come back round again. Well, they're not there. And you've got Wayne Dober playing the guy in the mask, who is the freak. You've got him bringing these cars back out, and I don't know why he doesn't seem to. He do see he looks confused. Why? Hang on, 4 people went in, but no one's come out, and he's just like. But of course, he's too preoccupied by wanting a bit of nookie with Madame Xena, and as I say, Wayne Dober, a mime artist, the way that he moves, the way that he conveys so much, either with the Frankenstein's mask on, or when the mask comes off and you've got the Rick Baker, Craig Reardon, huge sort of, oh God, grotesque mask that he's wearing. He manages to put so much across just in movements, the way he hunches around and doesn't want to be seen by people. And you get that. And the way that he will move and do certain angles, he'll also have massive sort of enraged fits when he realises, because when he's paid because this is the other thing as well, he gave that $100 bill to Madame Xena for services rendered, which were not very well rendered as far as he's concerned. When our gang finally realised, look, we've got to get out of here, and they come down, they're trying to find their way out. We've got our dickhead there, Richie, who goes like, look, they come across the room where the murder happened, and you can see her body there, and he goes, look, I just want to make sure she's dead, while the others are trying to break out. And he goes, I'll be back in a minute. And you see him, he goes in there, he's looking at the body, and he's thinking like, and he's looking over, because you've had that cash box, which is what the monster took the money from to go in there. I'm calling it, he is a poorly formed freak, but he's termed as a monster in the cast list and in all the synopsis. He's a monster, and he acts like a monster anyway, so let's call him a monster. And he gave the $100 bill out of that. So this guy's clearly gone over there, as we find out, and he's robbed the bloody money, which is why the father goes completely apeshit. Well, how much did you pay her, son? How much did you pay her? And he gets the box out, like, nothing in it. There was probably thousands in there, but he took a $100 bill, and he's like, you meant to give her a $100 bill. Where's the rest of the money? Where's the rest of the money gone? And the kid's like that, the monster's like, oh, I didn't take it, Well, he didn't say that, he can't speak properly without dribbling everywhere. And so he gets battered by his dad and all that. And then his dad does say to him, like, oh, I'm sorry, when I get to drinking, I know what I'm like. but I'll look after you, I'm going to take care of you. I've always done it before, haven't I? So you do get that kind of belief that the father will look after the son, which is, in a way, is, you know, it's sick and depraved. The whole thing's sick and depraved, but it's kind of nice at the same time that he may be abusive, but he's also like, look, you know, the army's son, and I will look after you. Even though when the monster did go, paw, well, gargled, paw, and he's going, don't call me that! Don't call me that! And he's just killed someone, so he's got to deal with that. How long can it go on for? I've got a feeling he's got the drilling and he's spinning round. You know, it's like, make it stop, make it stop. So, well, this is going to be a bit of a fucking slog to get through this video, isn't it? Christ almighty. I spent all weekend trying to do a video, but I've had loads of grief with, I have a family relative in the hospital at the moment, so I've been busy with hospital stuff a lot. So now I finally find the time to get the video done. Hell? Or is it a chainsaw? It could be maybe it's Tobe Hooper. It's the ghost of Tobe Hooper coming to serenade me discussing one of his lesser sung movies, and he's now doing Leatherface chainsaw twirl in the back. That's what's happening. Let's take it as that. Not some fucking dimwit on a Sunday afternoon fucking doing shit like that to disrupt my video. Anyway, where the hell was I up to? Jesus Christ, where was I going with that now? What am I discussing? Funhouse, that's the one. So yeah. Anyway, he's unleashed. The kid, little Joey, has seen them go in, but he doesn't know where they are. He then encounters, he tries to get under the the bottom of the funhouse, tries to get under, he lifts the sort of tarpaulin and gets under there, but the monster comes out and grabs him, and a big shock moment, so he runs off, and in a great sequence, that little lad, he runs up, the camera's on the other side of a chain link fence, and the little lad runs up to the chain link fence, and in about 2 seconds flat, climbs up a 12-foot chain link fence with spikes on the top, gets over it and comes down the other side. Wow, pure special forces, absolutely amazing. You know, Steve McQueen in The Great Escape would have got over that fucking... If he'd been trained like him, he'd have got over that fence in no time. Funny enough, Sean Carson, who plays that little lad, only the year after, or a couple of years after, would be he doesn't learn his lesson from fun fairs. He goes to another fun fair in the great dark Disney adaptation of Ray Bradbury's classic... what's it called? About the fun fair? Oh shit. Not And Now the Darkness. What's it called? Something Wicked This Way Comes. I'm sorry, that drill's massively thrown me, folks. It has. It's thrown me something chronic. Something Wicked This Way Comes, and they go to the fun fair, and you've got oh god, Jonathan Pryce playing the Dark Ringmaster and all that, and you've got ghostly spiders again in that. Like, it's really horrendous stuff. But it's a great movie. Doesn't learn. So anyway, let's get on to Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy plays the Barker, the father of the mutant son, Gunther, as he's meant to be called. Kevin Conroy plays 3 roles in this movie, all different Barkers. The Funhouse Barker, obviously, and he also plays the titty show, the titty tent. The sleazy, almost Cockney accented Barker there. He's got the women coming up. This is my daughter, you know. You see how they wiggle and dance. You see how they wiggle and dance. And he looks different each time. He's also the guy, the Barker in front of the freak show. You know, none of these were made by God. These were all created by man. And they are all alive, alive, alive. And he's wearing sort of like leather biker joy boy sort of gear. And he's got kind of curly hair. And then he also plays the main Barker, the Funhouse Barker, who is there's depth to his character. You understand what he's doing. He's clearly a sleazebag himself. He's going to cover up murders for his son. He's also sired, this horribly mutant son, and his twin brother who's lurking in the freak show tent. So, but there's a great moment where you hear he as the barker from the Funhouse, he's saying like, "Dare you step into the Funhouse? There's no escape. There's no release from the Funhouse. Once you're in here, you'll never get out." But as he's saying his stuff there, you can hear the voices of the other two barkers, which is him again, like, "Alive, alive, alive," and they wiggle and dance. They wiggle and they dance. And it's just a great little touch. It's a wonderful moment, a wonderful little element that he added in there. He plays 3 different roles. And funnily enough, not only did Sean Carson, the little lad, go to another fun fair for Something Wicked This Way Comes. That title is massively slipping away from my tongue at the moment. Something Wicked This Way Comes. Great title as well. He would go on to another fun fair movie. But also, you've got Kevin Conroy. Only the year after would play that eminent Victorian physician, Dr. Frederick Treves, looking after a certain John Merrick in the film The Elephant Man. No. Not the film with John Hurt and Sir Anthony Hopkins. Not the David Lynch Elephant Man. This was an American TV movie, but he plays Frederick Treves, again dealing with the carnivals and a deformed man. So it's funny how that whole thing sort of bled into more of the same for some of these characters. But anyway, the film has so much more to offer. Great score, great makeup effects, great photography, cinematography by Andrew Laszlo, The Warriors and Southern Comfort and many other movies is superb, genuinely great, very gaudy, very sort of EC comic style. You're never sure when you're in that funhouse what the next fright's going to be. Is it going to be mechanical? Is it going to be the freak itself coming from somebody? But what I've got to say is, these are travelling shows. How in the name of God did this funhouse ride get moved anywhere? It is vast, it's labyrinthine. There's multiple floors to it, there's stairs and gantries and trapdoors, there's all sorts. You've got a huge machine room beneath it with cogs and wheels and pistons and chain links and just, big proper hydraulic motors and things going around. It's huge. How the hell? It's almost like this big tent. Yeah, that's the one thing. And you've got a couple of floors of the cars going around. Yeah, great. And they come back out again. And all these things are in there. Big giant King Kong face. With all snarling gorilla teeth. And they walk through that. Big giant spiders and all sorts of stuff going on in there. But then you've got this huge beneath the ground setup with all of these hydraulics and pistons and machines and engines. But you can't... I can't make it out. Doesn't matter. It makes for a fabulous, fabulous setting. So R14's getting picked off. Richie, in a great... the shot kills are pretty good the way that they happen. You don't see much in the way of gratuitous violence, as I said before, but you get him, a noose comes down from out of nowhere, hooks him around the neck and jerks him up, and he's like, and in a great touch, all the money he stole tumbles out of his pockets and hits the floor. All these notes cascade down. And he's dragged up, gone. Now, Buzz, the big beefcake, gets the axe off the executioner. He's all right, I'm gonna use this. And then you hear one of the gondolas, one of the cars, trundling down the tracks. Coming towards it, and they can just see a silhouette of a shape in there. And he's like, right, I'm going to have this, don't worry, I'm going to have it. And it comes into right there, puts the axe in. And then, of course, the lights come on and he's just put the axe into Richie's head. I mean, Richie was dead, but it's just a trick that they've played on him. And then the car just travels off with Richie, lolling about in the car like that with the axe in his head. And his girlfriend is going, And then she walks up and falls down another trapdoor, and in perhaps the most nasty, grueling sequence, really, she falls into another sort of pit, and there's a big sort of fan, a big turbine going around, and she's nestled up against that. She's all crunched up, and she finally comes to, and then round the corner, down the end of this little sort of tunnel, comes the monster. Obviously, no Frankenstein mask on now. His full hideous deformities to be seen, but he's in the shadows, and he comes round, and he comes closer, and she knows that, you know, clearly he wants a bit of ooh la la, so she's trying to, like, you know, well, don't hurt me, do you want this? And she's trying to, it's a last ditch attempt to save her life, and anyway, but she's oh, there's a knife, because Buzz took the axe off one of the displays, and they found a knife on another display, and she's got the knife, and she plunges it into the monster's back. And he's like, trying to reach this knife. And then, just off camera, you see his horribly taloned paw coming up and slashing down to music like this. And then we will see her body afterwards, all ripped up and that, like. But that is a horrible moment, because you see he takes his time coming down, and Wayne Dober, being the mime artist, is doing all these great shadowy poses and coming down, and his head's twitching and all this, like he's watching it. It's a brilliantly acted performance. As I say, the mime artist knows how to put so much across through complex makeup and masks and that, because their body, every single bit of their body, can deliver some kind of storytelling element. And it's brilliant. And if you watch the film, watch every single scene he's in, even when he's got the Frankenstein monster mask on, you'll see different emotions through a face that is just a fixed mask. And you can see it. You can see that. That's really, really clever stuff. So he kills her. So you've got Buzz and you've got Amy left. Buzz will have a confrontation with Kevin Conroy, the Barker, again. Who's got a gun now, so he's gone into like proper, like, oh, it's just a thriller now, he's got a gun on him, and a fight will ensue, and he'll manage to impale the Barker on a huge spike on another bit of the ride, another one of the exhibits, but he's not dead, and he grabs Buzz and tries to pull Buzz onto the spike as well. Like, Buzz got the gun, he's putting bullets in, gets away with that, kills him, and then of course you've got, like, the monster will come back down, and you have Amy runs away from the fight that Buzz has with the monster, and she then ends up in a lovely, small but beautifully filmed hall of mirrors, and then the big mirrored door opens up, like, and this huge clown effigy on a rail comes down, carrying the body of Buzz dead, like there, and poor Amy, just her face and her scream, her look of horror is truly startling. She will have a final confrontation with the monster down in that engine room in a great moment, because she gets in there and she's like, just, it's all machines working around, because while they've closed down for the night, because our two killers know that they're in there, they've turned all the stuff on, like, to disorientate them and all this sort of stuff. So she's in there, and she's going under these chains and cables going around, these winches and all sorts, and there's whole, I don't know what the hooks are for. There's hooks travelling around as well on this carousel, which is important. And then she gets under one of these, and she's about scampering down towards another door, and suddenly in the foreground a ladder comes down, and it's like, oh, like shit, and she's like, and straight away there's no like pause, ladder comes down, and you see his feet coming down, so you don't get a second to get your breath back. It's a lovely touch by Tobe Hooper, that great directorial flourish. And then he's coming down the stairs, and then it's a big sort of fight. She throws him into an electric box like he did with Madame Zena earlier on, and then he gets hooked up on one of these spikes, and he'll get dragged around. Even though he's fighting, trying to get hold of it, he'll get dragged around, and he'll be dragged between these two enormous, horrible, crushing wheels. He'll be dragged between those. But it's a nice touch because he's on a carousel, a merry-go-round, basically. So he's dying in the funfair tradition. He's on a merry-go-round, and then she will escape. She'll finally get out, because the whole thing, because they've hit the power box and everything's everything's blowing up, and like the doors, they couldn't get out the doors were all chained shut, and even though he had an axe and all that, and like Richie's going, "You've got an axe, come on, you can do this." And like, you're a jock. He's like, "I can't, it's a steel door with a chain around it, I can't do anything." So they can't get out, but obviously everything's blown up and all that, so she manages to get out. And in a great touch, which harks back to all of those down and outs, she comes out with no shoes on, her dress, everything's ripped up, she looks terrible, she's covered in blood, and she looks like one of the down and outs. And of course, it's the next morning now, so only the hangers-on of the fun fair are still there, and the people who've been pissed all night long have just woken up completely all over the show, blitzed. And the down and out are still there, and they're kind of looking at her like that because, oh yeah, you're one of us now. And it's a great little moment. I don't think Tobe Hooper and Larry Block, who wrote this, really elaborated too much on the whole connection with the down and outs and that, and how they're connected to the fun fair and the carnival, and how this all transpires, this weird setup, this weird family, and how it draws in the oddballs and the crazies from all over the show. But it's a nice visual touch though. Another great visual touch is that, and another seedy element as well, Joey, who I mentioned before, Joey, the little lad, the brother, who's there. He's seen him go in there. He's done that leap over the fence. Then he comes back again. He goes back over the fence and he comes back in because he knows his sister's there. So, and he's seen the parked car, the big Mustang or Camaro or whatever the hell it is, like big black muscle car that Buzz drives, and he knows they're there. They haven't gone home. So he goes back in again, and he hears that story about it. Yeah, they had great sex. He's trying to say, "What's your name again?" Moo. He hears that story, and he's scampering around the fun fair, but he's trying to get back to the actual funhouse itself. But he will encounter someone. He'll get the fright of his life from the monster under the thing, and he'll run into someone's arms who grabs him, and then you're like, "Oh shit." Literally picks him up, and you're thinking, "Shit, what's that? Is that some other seedy bastard?" Well, the next sequence that you see with him is that his mum and dad have arrived. So Amy's mum and dad have arrived. They're there. They've been called by this guy who's picked him up in the fun fair, and he's looked after him. But this is a really bizarre sequence. The guy that is looking after him is compassionate, but he's mopping. He's mum and dad are there. He's like, he's fine now. He took a real fright, but I've looked after him. He hasn't said much, and he's mopping the little lad. It's their son. He's mopping him down like with a little like cloth. It's like, and he's stroking his face, and you're like, but it's dead clever because he's like, hang on, you are acting like an absolute pedo. But you clearly called his mum and dad to come and get him. But you've got this attachment you formed to him, and you can see the love and adoration in his eyes, and this. It's very, very quirky. He doesn't harm him at all, but it adds another level of this just seedy quality to this entire environment. But he's a good guy, seemingly a good guy anyway. So. But the great moment is that Amy sees her mum and dad outside. Now, I've said about the dogs just drifted past. How many more interruptions can we have today? The other girl's gone through and been clawed up by the monster with a turbine fan behind her. Well, up above her is Amy, because she went through the trapdoor right by there. Amy, there's another fan going around, and she sees her mum and dad outside, and in a great suspenseful sequence, she's screaming for her mum and dad, shouting. But you see the camera shows her from the outside. You can't hear a word she's saying. And from where they are, they can't even see her. It's just a fan going around. They can't even see the fan. They're that far away. But she's shouting, but all we can hear is the music of the fun fair and this fan going round and round and round and round. And they get the little lad, put him in the car, and they drive off. And that weird guy looked after him. It's just sitting there watching like that on the stoop of his trailer. But it's a great moment of like, oh Christ, they were right there as well. So anyway, the barker gets killed, shot to bits and impaled, and the creature gets killed, crushed in the machinery of the funhouse. The funhouse itself, in the UK, we have fun fairs. We have not far from where I live now, down in New Brighton, there used to be well, I think it's called Adventureland now, but I think it was called Fun. I don't know what it was called. Big fun fair. I grew up with it. They had a fun house there. Now in the UK, my knowledge and my experience of fun houses, where they were places of fun, ball ponds, climbing frames, that revolving tube, stuff like that. There weren't fucking monsters in there. Where does the word fun house relate to, like, house of a guy with a big axe, a mutant monster, spiders and ghosts and goblins and swampy bits and witches? That's a haunted house. That's a ghost ride. In our fun fair, we had a ghost ride and a haunted house. They did that. The fun house was a different thing altogether. So I don't quite get the name fun house equating to, a horror thing. But but I still love it. I still love it though. And this is it's a great fun house. I mean, as I say, it's vast, it's labyrinthine. If you look at the opening credits, which are filmed superbly, what you get is, like, you'll have a little block in the screen, a black screen, and it'll show a little rectangle of an exhibit, an act, a thing in the fun house. So you'll get the executioner with his black cowl and his big axe, and right alongside it, it's got editor so and so, axe, chop, cutting, music by John Beale, and there's a marionette playing a piano. It's just great. You've got written by Larry Block, and it's got screenplay by Larry Block, and you've got, like, this effigy, this mannequin again is scribbling notes down, and I like that. It's just a nice touch again. All works brilliantly. Now, can you see here the Funhouse? There's the novelisation. Can you see who wrote that? It says Owen West, based on a screenplay by Larry Block. Owen West is not Owen West. Owen West is a guy called Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz wrote many great horror novels, big horror novels. The Bad Place, Watchers, loads more, which I can't remember. But I've got loads up in the library there. Loved his stuff. But he wrote under many pseudonyms, especially if he's doing a novelisation of a movie. Now, that novelisation is colossally different from what you get in the movie. So the movie was written, Larry Block's script, and then Tobe Hooper's movie. Now I'm going to show you now. There, chapter 14 there. That bit there is all of what happens in the Funhouse, which I've just described to you. That bit. All the rest of that, you get the backstory of them going through the fun fair and all that, and get to know the characters. But most of it, folks, is Dean Koontz. If I said that Tobe Hooper liked dysfunctional families in his movies, well, Dean Koontz always wrote about dysfunctional families as well in many of his tomes, and he really went to town on this. None of what he wrote there, apart from that final chapter, is in the movie. And it's great though, because what the story of the book is, that Barker, the Funhouse Barker, played by Kevin Conroy, he is in cahoots with Madame Zena, the fortune teller who gets strangled. Only he kills her, not his monstrous son. But he's been covering up his son's horrible deeds. Wherever they've gone, he's been killing people, women, ripping them to shreds. He rapes them and then he uses them and then just destroys them, shreds them, rips their heads off. He's far nastier in the book than he is in the movie. And but he is with Madame Zena now, but many years before, he was with Amy's mother. Amy, the main star of the movie, he had an attachment with her, and she gave birth to his monstrous kids, twins, one of which she killed, the other which became, the monstrous mutant doing all the killings now. And he has spent 25 years trying to track her down because she left him, ran away. She ran away to join the carnival, the circus, and then ran away from the circus and formed a normal life and became a very religious woman. So Amy doesn't like her mother because of her religiosity, that's the word. But so the Barker has been looking, I think his name's Conrad in the book, has been looking to try and find this family, get his revenge. So when he does find Amy and Joey, and he realises who their parents are, who the mother is, he's going to make them pay. So the whole thing is a setup to get them in there, in the funhouse, and he and his monstrous son are going to slay them and kill Joey as well. But they want Amy, and they're going to use Amy. They're going to make her suffer for days and days. Won't just kill her outright. So the book is immensely nastier than the movie, but it's got this huge... If you bought that book thinking, oh, it's just a novelisation of the movie, oh boy, are you in for a shock. There's a hell of a lot more to that. As I say, the final 10-15 pages is the last half of this movie. So, anyway, folks, we've had numerous interruptions, and I do apologise about that. But what can you do? What can you do? The Funhouse from 1981, directed by Tobe Hooper, is well worth your time and effort. It has oodles of atmosphere. The characters are well drawn. It plays with the whole stalker / teens in peril angle, as we're so used to, but it doesn't overplay that. It does it in a different manner. It takes it in a different tangent. It's not as gory, it's not as violent, it's not as exploitative as a lot of movies from that era were, or have been since. So it actually does appear quite tame, which again flies in the face of the fact that it was landed with such video nasty, infamy, which it clearly was mistaken identity. Tremendous score, which you've been listening to throughout this, I hope, and when the drill wasn't going off, that is. And great makeup effects from Rick Baker. It's not the most mobile of masks. Again, he and Craig Reardon were brought in to come and have a look at this. What can you do with this? And Rick Baker designed it and then buggered off because he had lots more jobs in the offing. A certain American werewolf movie. Well, The Howling came up next. So we started to work on The Howling. And then, of course, he got the call from John Landis. Hang on, you promised me you were doing a werewolf movie with me 10 years ago. So come on, leave that, come to me. So he jumped ship from Joe Dante's The Howling, went to John Landis for American Werewolf, leaving a certain Rob Bottin to take over. And I've discussed this a lot. I have, Christ, I've been on this a million times. But Craig Reardon has worked with Rob Bottin and Rick Baker numerous times, and he's often uncredited, but he's the guy. They'll design stuff, they'll create stuff, they'll design stuff, but he's the one that fucking sticks it on the actors' faces and makes sure it works on the set, on the time, on the day in question. So, he's a great jobbing special effects guy who really is enormously talented. And the mask and the look of Gunther, he's called Gunther in the novel. If you buy the mask, it's the Funhouse Gunther mask, if you go and get it. But in the movie, I don't think he's referred to ever as Gunther. I don't think so. If he is, let me know, because I can't recall any scene where the father calls him that. But it's great. It's great stuff. And Kevin Conroy is outstanding as in the three roles of the Barker: the sleazy titty tent, the freak show tent, and obviously the Funhouse itself. And he looks drastically different. It's clearly him, but the one with the freak show tent, and he looks like some kind of bike, some leather joy boy biker sort of thing, a bit out of a sort of Mad Max 2 / 70s American road movie. Looks a bit bizarre with his sort of curly hair, but he looks about 20 years younger playing that role, and it's amazing. So he's a great actor, by the way, Kevin Conroy, and it's well worth looking just for his enormously good performance and his multiple ways of delivering lines in the different characters that he has. And you, not alive, and they wiggle and they dance, they wiggle and they dance. It's just tremendous. And then his slow sort of, when you go to a fun fair and you hear these barkers giving out, what the attraction is, they're doing that all day long. And you imagine what a monotonous, banal speech that's going to become. And it's the barker for the Funhouse that actually has the most annoying one. You won't get in here alive. So you'll come in here, but you won't get out of it alive. Obviously, he says it better than I do. don't think he'd be drinking as much as that as I have. And you know, it becomes, but you can imagine he just does that, you know, on a mantra all day long. But it's funny how all three Barkers, when our teens are going around, you know, the fun fair to begin with, they all say their piece and they all centre on Amy. They all see Amy, all of them, and they all direct some of their speech upon her. And it's a nice little, like, you know, foreshadowing of what's going to come. Anyway, folks, Jesus Christ, it's a bit of a slog getting through this one, I'll be honest. The videos that I always want to do and I can't wait to do, they're the ones that get fucked up with by things beyond my control. But if you're stuck with it, hats off to you. And when a fun fair comes to town, watch out. You know, there is something about carnivals and circuses. And look at the movies that came out of them. Circus of Horrors, Carnival, American Horror Story, Freak Show. Hammer did it with Vampire Circus, one of the great unsung Hammer movies. I will cover that at some point. That is a powerfully, gratuitously nasty and very provocative and thought-provoking, taboo-breaking movie. You need to cover that at some point. But circuses and carnivals have that enclosed, macabre environment. Can you trust any of these people who work there? People run away to join these things. Why? Because they're trying to get away from something that did behind them, and they want to join this. And because they've all got something to hide, they kind of cover each other. I am blanketly lambasting carnies and all that, but can't trust them. Yeah, but it makes for great movies. It's a great scene-setting sort of environment where the macabre and unreality mix with innocence and corrupts all. It's a dreamy world. Anyway, dreamy / nightmarish world. Folks, anyway, I've waffled on fucking far long enough now. Cheers. The Funhouse from 1981. Arrow video, I've released it. It's over there somewhere on blue. Looks great, sounds great, loads of great features. I love it. Great soundtrack. If you can get the soundtrack to it, do so. So, folks, in the meantime, and this, oh God, endlessly interrupted in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic, be happy, y'all. And, you know, that guy, you know, when he's swinging the sledgehammer down and hitting the bat, he's got a foot on a brake. So the big guy comes down there, a big posy ass bastard, like, and you're like, if you're in charge, well, you're going to get nowhere. It goes, ooh, ooh, and they're going like, bang, what's wrong with that? Ooh. And then the little weedy guy or the girl comes up and goes, they can't even lift it. So dad helps them, and it just drops on it. Whoa, bing, ding, 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 ding. You know, big prize. And the big beefcase go, like, the fuck, la? What the fuck are you doing with that, la? You know. All kidology, all of it. It's all fake. Or is it? That guy in a mask, is it really a mask? I don't know. Folks, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I do apologise for the absolutely shambolic nature of this video, but there you go. It is what it is. So, I'm going to see you all. Namaste. Alive, alive, alive. They wiggle and they dance. They wiggle and they dance.